asking it. But I got a question for you though.
Yes, ma'am.
What made you post this question, Newstoter?
You said what made me post what now?
What made you or have this title in the up here in the space?
Because it came off of the website. It actually came from one of our curation partners, the Sacramento Observer, and the name of the actual article and it was from an actual Eritrean author saying the author presses a need for stronger political ties among Africans and Black Americans. So I said, well, let me go ahead into because you got to shorten it up. You can only get so much into the actual in the actual title. So I was like, well, let me go ahead and shorten it, and basically just can we have political ties between Africans and Black Americans, because I can't get you can't get it all up in there. So I was like, well, let me go ahead and shorten it up so I can go ahead and get it up in there. So yeah, pretty much like a lot of the actual topics come from the actual Newstoter platform. So I just wanted to go ahead, because this article is actually a month old, and I had meant to do a space on it before, but I just kept putting it off and doing other stuff, especially with the political situation with Kamala Harris stepping up and basically running for president. So I had to go ahead and kind of put it to the back burner. But it's been on my mind for a while. I just couldn't pop it off yet. But I figured that, hey, tonight would be a good night to go ahead and put it up in there.
I like that.
Yes.
I don't think we should have. I think we should have political ties.
You say you don't think that you should have political ties?
No, not at all.
Well, hey, that's what the space is for. Like, I mean, listen, I'm just putting it out there. I want to see what everybody's got to say or whatever. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start this thing up in a second. I'm gonna give our people a few minutes to come up in here, and I'm gonna start touching up on this article. And y'all forgive me tonight because she has a very it's a very East African name as well too. So I'm just gonna call her Rael. I cannot pronounce her last name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. It's going to be Rael for the night. So, but yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and I wanted to see how everybody felt about that, because, we know there's so many different things going on these spaces and in real life and whatnot as well, too. So I want to kind of see exactly what people, what the mindset behind this was. We know that we've had a lot of quote unquote diaspora wars on X, especially the past couple years or whatever. But so I just wanted to go ahead and touch up on it. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to hearing what everybody's got to say tonight. Let me read a comment real quick, because people are coming over on the YouTube channel dropping comments. FAA, I know FAA last night was kind of back and forth with the space we had about Roland Martin. Says, encourage trade schools to be built in all Black communities, create our own hospitals and medical supply manufacturing companies, increase the number of Black medical science and engineering. Absolutely. I mean, I definitely agree with that. We had F. Ray over there says Pan-Africanism is dead, and these old baby boomer bootlicks are quickly becoming obsolete. A lot of people feel that as well too. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and touch up on this. Like I said, I was gonna give our people a few more minutes to come in here, but I mean, let me ask you something real quick, MF, because I know you be in the spaces, and I know sometimes you start your own, you kind of pop out. But let me ask you this right here. If it was an actual way, and the article itself really doesn't touch up on how you can create the political ties between Black people, Black people in America and Africans. But if it was possible, if it was beneficial for Black people in this country, where you could create some kind of, not necessarily even, let's say, political ties, but let's say more of a, I guess, financial ties. I mean, maybe there was trade and commerce between people over in America, Black people in America, and the people over there in Africa. Would you be for that? If it was something that would be beneficial to Black Americans, where it would be an actual equal trade, and you're not just the one putting all of the investment and everything else like that as well too. Would you be interested in something like that?
I would definitely think about it, because I do understand that it's easier to work on a bartering system. It is easy to kind of have more debt. But I think, like, for me, concerning not only just the stuff that we've heard on Twitter, but even some of our own personal experiences, I don't know if I would trust them, because I feel like they would go back into acting in the same way before, like telling us to do this and we're that and ABC and not our names are in the book. I would think about it, but I would still have my skepticism, respectfully. And then also there would also have to be a really really line that's drawn that when it comes to whatever is going on in our specific community, that you don't get involved in it, and if you are going to get involved, understand that how you help is, I mean, how we say we need help is how that needs to go, not taking stuff into your own initiative.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to touch up on this article. Like I said, the article comes from the platform. It comes from our curation partner, the Sacramento Observer. But the actual author of the actual author that they're speaking of is a Eritrean. And this person here is just talking about the actual political ties possibility between Black America and Africa. Says author presses need for stronger social. Author presses need for stronger political ties among Africans and Black Americans. And I'm like I said, I'm just gonna call Ryu. What's her name? Rael. I'll call her Rael because the last name is too long. Rael, author of Imagine Freedom, Transforming Pain into Political and Spiritual Power, held a book discussion at Busboys and Poets 14th Street on July 11th with a mission of leaving audience with more thoughts on literature. Rael is a Eritrean immigrant who used the moment to emphasize the need for African Americans to cultivate closer ties with Africa beyond the realms of cultural appreciation. I think that African Americans need stronger ties to the continent that go beyond culture, aesthetics, and music. Rael told the Washington Informer, I think we need to look at what our political reality is. Rael, a Stanford and Yale University graduate, is dedicated to raising awareness about the African freedom struggle, which stresses is still going on. It continues to this day. It did not end with the end of colonization. She emphasized countries like Kenya have struggled to maintain freedom from external partners like China and the Western world. In recent weeks, Kenyan President William Ruto has been engulfed in political controversy because he tried to force a continuous tax bill to go through, which resulted in widespread, violent, and deadly protests nationwide. The president attempted to address the country's $80 billion debt from China, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, according to reporting by the Associated Press. While Kenyans and other Africans work to maintain freedom, Rael established a correlation between the challenges faced in Africa and those experienced by Black Americans in the United States. We have a very similar freedom struggles and struggles against white supremacy and capitalism, she said. There are also many ways that we don't have access to our own natural resources on the continent, and that is an ongoing land and resource struggle. It's one African Americans face in the United States as well, not having a deep connection to the land that we live on. She added, let's see, we got a speaker coming up. I'm gonna go ahead and man, I see you coming up here, but let me finish touching up on this. The author also said that the divide between Africans and African Americans has been very intentional and systematic divide that isn't by accident. The divide is created to ensure that white supremacy maintains a stronghold on the continent and in the United States. As long as we don't connect our issues, then we don't see how antebellum slavery and the history of colonization on African soil are very similar to each other, she explains. Antebellum slavery was a condition that forced enslaved people to abide by slave codes from 1830 to 1860. One condition was to prevent enslaved people from gathering without a white presence, ensuring enslaved individuals wouldn't organize together. Rael said at her book event that the media has control in how people view the nation of freedom. If we are truly free, African and Black Americans would be united, she declared. Rael also noted the media has played a role in how Black Americans and Africans understand each other or don't understand each other and the stereotypes that we embrace about each other. In recent years, newsrooms and some police departments have taken a stand in limiting or nearly cutting the usage of mugshots due to racial bias. The San Francisco Police Department argued in a news release that mugshots overstates the propensity of Black and brown men to engage in criminal behavior. Additionally, WRCB, a Chattanooga-based newsroom in Tennessee, vowed to limit the usage of mugshots, claiming that they disproportionately affect people of color in low-income neighborhoods. As Rael offered the importance of improving African and African-American relations during the discussion last Thursday, she also reflected on the power, image freedom. transforming pain into political and spiritual power offers to readers. During a book discussion moderated by Panama Jackson, a columnist at the Greer, Ariel reflected on her new work, where there's one chapter that seems to resonate with people the most, and that's the trauma chapter, she said. She also told the audience about the time she went to record the audio version of her book, and the director started to cry and told her that he couldn't go through the script. After the white engineer started to cry, that's when I knew I had something. She added during the discussion. Audience members listened to the author's sentiments, adding constant finger snaps, claps, and verbal affirmations to express the impact of the conversation. Rena, a reading coach who preferred not to use her last name, said she was impressed and learned a lot from the conversation. The African American, Rena said, Real's thought provoking talk made her wonder, why aren't African Americans and Africans as connected? Or what's missing from us? Are we too indoctrinated from white people? Royal emphasized what she hopes audience will gain from reading the book. It is important to understand that we tackle a twofold trauma that is both personal and systematic, and so that we also need personal and systematic solutions to the issues that we face today. Shout out to everybody coming up in the space. Y'all see the title. Shout out to my people on YouTube as well. You guys see the title. This is from an East African author who's posing the question, and basically she's saying what needs to happen for Black people in America and Africans on the continent to have stronger political ties. Now, in the article, she didn't really reach out and say exactly how you go about creating these stronger political ties as well, too. So that would have been nice to hear any suggestions she had about creating stronger political ties. Um, that's an interesting question. We hear people say, Black people are mistreated in America because they don't have a home base, so to speak, and the Asians don't get treated this way because you have China and you have Japan or whatever, and certain people don't get treated this way because their home countries and this and that or whatever. And people say, well, Black people in America don't have any base to protect them and to give them some kind of solidarity. So that was the actual topic. Now, MF Kush, based off of what I read there from that article, and like I said, the article doesn't really mention, it doesn't say exactly how you go about creating this quote unquote political ties for Africans and Black Americans, but just based off of the little bit that I read, just what's your personal opinion on that, if you don't mind, speaking?
They need to mind their business because, first of all, I think, first of all, well, I'm not going to say I think. I know we as Black Americans are fully aware of our situation and what goes on. We know where we're at economically. We know where we're at culturally. We know where we're at when we're dealing with the systems of racism and white supremacy. We know where we stand with that. They are now just figuring that out. So it kind of, to an extent, it's kind of like they asking for help. Now you want Black Americans help into getting what you need. But when we needed the help, when we're calling for justice, and every time a Black American got their hand out and say, "Hey, our community needs something," they're nowhere near to be found. And it's the same kind of energy that we find on Twitter, right? It's, "Hey, let me join the club. Let me do this. Let me do this. Because I don't know." And then it turns into a whole array of mess. I don't have time for that. So if that's going to be the case, I'm not interested in having any kind of political or even financial ties doing business with somebody who's not even on the same level we are economically, even here in America. They have to hop on our bandwagon to get everything. They have to hop under guys being Black just to say that they're a Black-owned business when they're really not a Black-owned business. And they have to maneuver through and deal and probably work real closely with those racists that are here, right, in order to get their businesses afloat. Like, they send money back home to Africa. They're not doing anything here for the community. So if they're not, like I said, if they're not going to make drastic changes, I'm not interested. So I'll land there.
Thank you, MF. That was pretty informative as well, too. So basically, from what I'm getting from you, basically they're a day late and a dollar short. Now, you made a point. You said something about that they basically under the umbrella of being Black as well, too. So when you see that you have an African business and they say that this is a Black-owned business, you don't personally look at it as a Black-owned business?
No, not at all. I see that as a non-Black American business. And that's why, listen, when I do my interviews, I'm asking certain questions for a reason, right? for out here in Indianapolis, when I do these interviews, for the most part, they have a display that they're a Haitian business or a Ghanaian business or an Israeli business or even a Hispanic business. They pretty much have it out there to display. But the ones that don't, when I walk into the establishment or I don't know, I'm definitely looking around. No, this ain't black owned, because what are we selling dry fish for in a grocery store? That ain't black American culture. You have everything in here except black American food. I ain't even got no soul food or none of that. You have food of the diaspora. And if you recall yourself a black owned business, that's a lie. Because you're not a black American. You are a melanated individual, and you need to operate under the guise of being melanated and not drag on the coattails of my ancestors.
All right, thank you. It's crazy because DJ, he's not in the space, but DJ was saying up there in New Jersey, I think he was saying it's a soul food restaurant that that Africans actually run and actually operate as well too. So that's what he was DJ was telling me that one time before, that you actually had this soul food restaurant up there and up there in New Jersey, but it was actually owned and operated by actual Africans as well too. And I found out, like, well, how what do they know about soul food? Which I thought, it was just, was different to hear something like that. But that's what he said. So, but shout out to you, MF. I definitely appreciate you coming up here and definitely getting it in with us. Definitely, if you got anything else you want to add, just let us know. And I know you do these business spaces. Everybody, make sure you check out MF Kush, because she does a lot of spaces. She does quite a few of them concerning business as well too, but she has she does more than just business spaces as well too. So shout out to Miss MF Kush. Ben Israel, what's going on with you tonight? How you doing? And everybody up in the space, definitely make sure you guys share and tweet out the actual space. Same for my people over there on YouTube. Share the actual broadcast tonight. But go ahead, Ben. How you doing?
Peace to everybody in the chat. Looking at this, I got a lot to say about it. We have no backup. I did 5 years in prison from 2002 to 2007. I was in the Commonwealth of Virginia. There are no Asians in the correctional facility. When they commit a crime, they get their time, they are sent back, deported back to China, because the Chinese government don't want their citizens or they don't want their people doing time over here in the United States. Their prisons over there like almost like 4-star hotels. The thing about this right here, this is very interesting because they have a country to back them up. Africa has 54 countries. Only one of them has extended their hand out to foundational Black Americans to come back home to build something. I like what Ibrahim Toure was doing over there in Burkina Faso, what they're doing over there in Niger, and the other country over there, the three about to unite. But they don't want to work with us because they feel that we will outshine them. And I was wondering why certain people never talked about it until I listen to Jason Black a lot, and he said, when I don't say something, that means I'm saying something. And one night he touched on this. He said none of them have extended their hand to foundational Black Americans to say, hey, let's build something together. The only thing we got that was close was when Marcus Garvey came over here. He had a plan. I mean, he came over here. He wanted to get all of us to take us back over there. But they got 54 countries over there. They aren't united enough to say, hey, let's get our Black people, let's get our people from over there in the United States to come over here. Let's give them this piece of land, and so they can do what they do. They're not united enough to do that, and that's a sad situation. That's crazy. You got all the resources, you got most of the resources in the world. You got all the diamonds, gold, platinum, uranium, cobalt, everything that makes this world go around. But you got so much tribalism over there. You from this place, you from that place, and it's pitiful. But until once they get in trouble, as soon as one of them get in trouble, the mainstream media be like, a black man did this, that, and the other. But let one of them do something good. Yeah, a Nigerian man did this, or a Canadian man did this, or a Jamaican man did that. That's where the disconnect at. They need to. Everybody just need to stop, get it together, because you're fighting against each other. And once you fight against each other, basically you a tool for white supremacy. With that, land, B1.
All right. Thank you, Israel. Let me go ahead. MF, I'm gonna get the Just Cakes real quick, and then I'll come right back to you. Just Cakes, how you doing tonight? I know you probably got the little one and you're trying to squeeze it in. So how you doing tonight, sweetie?
I'm okay. I'm sorry. I had to unlock my phone. I'm okay. I really hate that I missed that space yesterday. I was so disappointed that I missed that space yesterday.
You can always go back and check out the recording. No, it's recorded.
No, I definitely did. I watched it later on, but I want to get in there and speak to the situation, considering that I'm familiar with all sides of the situation, including where Roland Martin was confronted. That's the church that I actually grew up in. And they had Warnoff speaking at their church earlier that day, and I went absolutely off about it. But to the subject of today, I don't think it's really working with the Africans in this day and age. You got to keep in mind that some of them African countries abolished slavery in the 1960s, and it wasn't willingly necessarily. It wasn't because they had a aha moment and said, "Damn, this is wrong." Treating people the way we treat them that look like us. They didn't have that moment. They didn't give a damn, And as far as Marcus Garvey, with us knowing what we know now, you know what I'm saying? Let's just say if all Native Black Americans went to Africa to, quote unquote, go back home, what would we be walking into? You know what I'm saying? Especially after the situation that happened in, is that Libya or Liberia? When they had some of the Native Black Americans repatriate to there, what would we be walking into? Like even with the situation as far as Ghana and their fake call to home or right to abode or whatever they call it, 90% of the Black Americans that's going over there are complaining about how they have a black tax over there in those black nations. So last but not least, I think it was Tariq was saying it, and then the Olympic person was saying it. How whereas we root for Black Americans first, then the Black diaspora, that's how we go. But it's not like that for them. How they root for their own countries, and then they root for anybody against the United States blacks. So when you got that deep-seated hatred unnecessarily, and that tribalism and that haterism, like how can you work with somebody like that? You got to have a level of trust to enter into any type of relationship with people, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship or a professional. To be able to work with people, you got to have some type of trust. And when they show hate and disdain, unwarranted, how do you work with people like that? So I'll end it there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Just Cakes. Thank you. MF, go ahead. You got it. How you doing? We'll get you back. Anybody else that wants to speak up here, come on up here as well too. But go ahead, MF.
Thank you. Listen, if they call themselves wanting to work with us, why wouldn't they already have Benny Davis dual citizenship if that was going to be the case? Why is it that, again, when y'all want something, that's when y'all want to now band together with Black Americans? If that was really the case, why are they not already making a notion to already help with legislation to get Black Americans reparations? What are they doing for an anti-Black hate crime bill? What are they doing to make sure that our Black American children are not targeted by CPS? And I have heard nothing yet. All I hear is, hey, we're over here, we're getting attacked, now we need your assistance. But you didn't need our assistance. taking over. You didn't need our assistance then when everybody else is coming over to do whatever they want over there, and you can't stop them because y'all got so much tribalism going on. Nah, man, ain't nobody got time for it. So I'll say that to say this. Once again, I'm not a proponent of doing business with people that I don't trust. I don't want them specifically in none of our politics. I don't want them in any of our economics. I don't want them really even having conversations about what goes on in our community, because they won't even check their own people when it comes to disrespect. So if we can't even get through the simple stuff, this bigger stuff, respectfully, you are your own. I land.
All right, thank you, MF. MF, let me ask you this one question real quick. Would you because I know when a lot of times when we start talking about the continent of Africa, we know there's different countries, but a lot of people say, South Africans, a lot of I guess you have a closer relationship with South Africa, maybe as compared to a lot of the West African nations. If you had a bunch of South Africans that was willing to go ahead and because you got Julius Malanga there and everything else, but if you had some South Africans that was willing to go ahead and so you know what, we've had similar situations to you guys over there in America. We feel you this and that or whatever. We're willing to work with you. Would that be something that you'd be willing to actually hear out, like a proposal, or is still no on that part?
I would hear a proposal, but I would also have to ask them to demonstrate what they're trying to do first before I make any kind of final decision. Because the biggest thing that I think a lot of us realize, and also can at least acknowledge, is the fact that we've had politicians and people, quote unquote, in power saying that they're going to do something specifically for Black Americans. They don't deliver. So there is no more, well, I can't do. I need to see you do it first before I say anything.
Thank you. I got a super chat from Avenge. The ancestors over there says we must always remember Africans sold us out before. So that comes from Avenge the Ancestors. So shout out to Avenge the Ancestors. I got my man Brother Moku up here, and I got Original up here as well too. Now, Moku, I know you may be at work or whatever, but did you want to speak, say something? I know you up. I know you ain't got your hand up, but I'm just checking to see if you were available to speak. I know you're up here, but you might, like I said, you could be on the highway driving or something. So I don't know. If not, I can come back to you. Moku, I think Moku might be in the space, but I think Moku might have checked out for a second. So let me go ahead and get to Original. Let me ask you, I know you don't got your hand up, Original, but I know you definitely never shy about giving your opinion on this. What's your feeling on this? I know you saw the time you started seeing when you started having a lot of these African nations gain their independence in the 60s and everything else around the same time. Black Americans were getting certain rights in this country as well too. And to me, I always wonder, like, if any time that you would have had the two come together and say, you know what, we have a similar mindset, or we have a similar enemy. Let's come together and let's try to do something. That the late 1960s, definitely the 1970s would have been the time and place to go ahead and actually make something happen, actually, create something for some kind of partnership. Yeah, we know you've had African leaders and stuff that were friends with black people over in this country, like King and Malcolm X as well too, but you never really had the actual unity or any kind of bond. So just your opinion on that, Original, like, because like I say, it seems to me like that would have been the time and place to actually forge an actual partnership. I'm not saying that it's ever too late, but I definitely would have thought that, because when Malcolm X went to the continent, he went there trying to actually recruit people to actually have black people back and have their back, and that didn't seem to pan out then as well either. So what's your opinion on that, Original?
Well, it's kind of like what Fish was saying. See, like I said, I came up out of the Pan-African thing, but we were thinking that well, I put it this way: when you have better information, you can make better decisions. I know they say life started in Africa, but like you said, when Malcolm X went over to Africa, he was trying to tell them, we have the same problem. We got the same problem as white. They told Malcolm X, we got our own problems. So they wasn't looking to ally.
technically they weren't looking to ally with Malcolm X, and basically they still have this. A lot of them still have that same sentiment today. I remember hearing some Pan-Africans tell us that when we go to Africa, that we have to humble ourselves to them. And now I look at it like, no, I'm not humbling myself to anyone. If they're, it's kind of like these people, they don't see us as being connected to their family, unless it's benefiting them. And so, so we have to start doing, a lot of us started doing that same thing with them. We're not their enemy. Let's understand this entire situation that we're dealing with now. This started because, I don't know if anyone has mentioned this, during COVID, they were caught on social media having spaces, Africans and Caribbeans. They was caught on social media having spaces, and their main topic was us. They was called, you would hear some of the statements they were making. They sounded worse than white folks in talking about us. And when we started pushing back on them, all of a sudden, the Pan-Africans, they were blaming, they wouldn't call them out, but they would call out Black America. And we were like, no, you can't do that. If you're not going to call them out, then you need to, sit down somewhere, because we're not going to allow someone to disrespect us and then think that we're just going to continue to sit and do right by them. It's not going to happen. They don't, for the most part, I saw a video where this brother, he went to Ghana. He was going into this nightclub, a popular nightclub in Ghana. They told him that he had to buy a pay for a table plus buy X number of drinks. And he said, well, may I just come in and just mill around for a minute before I dole out this money? So he decided to go ahead and get the table and the drinks. After coming in, he noticed that there were some white people over there. They weren't buying the drinks. And when he questioned them, they said, oh, well, they're not going to do it. See, they'll allow outsiders to come into their country and disrespect them and not follow the rules. But when it's us, it's like, oh, well, I don't know. They have this tribal thing with us for whatever reason. And I think one part of it is that, see, Black Americans are known as being basically the premier Black people around the world. And I think white people have used that to brainwash them and maybe it wasn't all white folks, maybe they were just doing, they just have this disdain for us for whatever reason. But I think that was partly used to turn them against us, and they went along with the program. And so now that they see that we are delineating from them, now all of a sudden, they want to call us brother and this, that, and brother or sister and this, that, and whatever. But that's our Queen of Poor. She was on a video with her and this sister from Africa. The sister from Africa was telling her that the degenerate white person was coming there, telling them all kind of pejorative things about Black Americans. And they believe this stuff because they are on such lockdown with religion, and it doesn't matter whether they are Christians or Muslims. They still allow those people in those religions to treat them like they're nothing, but they will come out and get ready to fight and kill us. There's even some of the Black folks that get killed over there who moved there and bought property. So we're not, I think the majority of this smoke is coming from them. So I really don't see how they are going to, really fix this, because so many Black people for decades, we've always reached out to them. We've always acknowledged them, but we just didn't know that they had this disdain for us and not wanting to see us achieve. But if we was doing well, I don't know what to say. All I can say is that if they want to, some of them may be an ally, but I don't think it's enough to make a difference. You know, just like there are white people, when they say that they are, you can't say that all white people are bad, but then the ones that might be good, they're so minute in number, it doesn't make a difference. And they would only speak out, you know, to a certain extent. And so I just think that it is past time that we begin to lean on one another. And, you know, if we can help somebody, fine. But our main focus should be us. We can no longer afford to go out and throw the cape on for the world any longer, because, you know, you look at even with the Jamaicans, like Kamala's trying to claim that she's black. But see, Dr. John Carlos, I saw him in an interview where he said he was born in 1945. And he went to high school with this guy named Dennis Dice back in the 60s. But he said that Dennis would tell him he's not black, he's Jamaican. So none of these people around the world, technically, they only want to ally with us if it's going to benefit them. And so we just have to close our ranks and take care of home. And, you know, whatever happens, happens. And I land.
All right. Thank you. Original. I see we got Mama Flips up here. Mama Flips. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter.
Hey, what's up now?
Nothing, chilling. In reference to this, can we have political ties between Black Americans and Africans? I agree with Original Blood. I don't think it's going to work. What I'm not understanding is how these people come from a very tribalistic atmosphere, and while Black Americans don't understand that they're going to bring that same atmosphere, you know, when it comes to the United States. Now, I'm 44, and I grew up around some Caribbeans. You know, growing up, it wasn't a lot of them around growing up. But, you know, of course, I'm in this New York, New Jersey area. I started seeing, you know, of course, interacting more and more as I got older. And I believe the current state, as Africans have begun to come here, like in the late 90s and early 2000s in large numbers, I believe that they have disintegrated relations within the United States, within the Black population, because they're so tribalistic. Like I said, we've dealt with Caribbeans in large numbers, and yeah, we had some issues, but not like it is today. I just believe Africans, for the most part, you know, are accelerating these issues. And like the Original Black said, growing up, even with the Caribbeans, they would let you know where they came from, and they wouldn't say they were Black. This is just for them to get, you know, political and economic expediency by aligning themselves with us. It's not out of like a brotherly love type of thing. It's just that, you know, you're the dominant, you know, Black people here, Black Americans, and we need to align ourselves with you to get what we want. So no, I just think, like Original Blood said, we just need to focus on ourselves at this point. It's not our job to save everyone. It's just not our job. It's not our job anymore. It was never our job. We should never took on responsibility. But, you know, it is what it is now. We just need total focus on ourselves. Whoever doesn't like it, doesn't like it.
All right. Thank you, Mama Flips. Like the actual the actual article that I referenced and read, this actually came from an East African author, and they were actually posing this question. They actually saying stronger political ties amongst Africans and Black Americans. I'm not sure at this point in time if there's really any political ties between Black Americans and Africans. If it is, I don't know. They're not really affecting policy over here for us, and we're not affecting policy over there in Africa for them. Now, you know, could potentially one day that happen? Yeah, I think that could potentially happen. But I think before you ever get to the political aspect or anything else, I think that you'd have to go financial. Like I think that you have to actually have some kind of financial tie to actually ever create an actual political tie between the two of us. I think it has to be something that's at stake for both people, for both groups, in order for us to actually go ahead and actually have something worth forging in terms of politically. Like there's nothing really to tie us politically outside of the skin of our colors. We live in different lands, different laws, and different cultures and everything else as well too. So the only thing that I think could ever actually tie us politically would be something economically. Like you would have to have black people going over to Africa doing business over there. It would have to be mutually beneficial for black Americans. But I think that's the only way. Then you can, after years of a partnership, making money, they're satisfied on their end, you're satisfied on your end. Then I think you could go ahead and say, you know what, let's forge something politically or whatever. After the actual economic base, I think the only thing politically you would have to go ahead and pretty much, like I said, because they're not really the United States doesn't take any African nation serious. If an African nation was say, hey, you know what, Nigeria got up tomorrow and said, hey, we don't like the way you treat black people, they say, okay, well, shut up. Because there's nothing that they can do that's going to punish them or hurt them or whatever. There's nothing that they can withhold. The resources on their land, they can't withhold it from the United States, because they'll find a way to go ahead and blackball them and still end up getting it anyway. So there's really nothing politically I don't see that they can do. And like I said, there's nothing politically that we can do at this point in time as well too. But from what I'm hearing from the room, that most of our people like, hey, it's just a great sense of mistrust. Like, hey, you know what? We've been over here for so long. They've been over there. When they do come over here, they stick to themselves and this and that or whatever. And, I'm not really worried about trying to forge anything with them or whatever, which, like I say, I understand. But like I say, too, I look at it from a financial standpoint that, hey, if it was something that, if the actual markets, if they open up the market to us the same way they open it up to every other person, the whites, the Asians and everything else like that, I think that could create a lane politically for us. But you're not getting that. You're not going to get the same treatment as the East Indians and the Asians and the whites and the Chinese and all that other stuff. So, I don't know really how you go about really forging that relationship. Just Case, go ahead. I see you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was kind of on co-sign that. That's the thing. They don't look to have any type of relationship with us. Like, even when it comes to with them being here, if we put them on, like, I grew up in a Pan-African household, so we would raise money for them to be able to come over here and stuff like that. We would tell them about jobs and stuff like that, but when they get into these jobs and these fields, what do? They block us out. So it's from the bottom to the top, the fish thing from the head back. Okay, that's just what it is. So I don't know how I just really just don't know how do you get past that.
Now, the leader that you got over there in South Africa, Julius Malema, there are a lot of black people in this country that respect him and respect his work, and they ride with Julius as well too. But outside of Julius, I can't really think of another black leader in Africa that really inspires people outside of the continent of Africa. I mean, he's the one person that I think, and he's not a president or head of a state. I believe he's part of an organization, but he's not the actual president or has any major political title. So, outside of somebody like that, I don't really know who would really inspire you politically. The last African head of state that really inspired black people worldwide would have been Nelson Mandela. And we know Nelson, after he got out of prison, after those 30 some odd years, he wasn't the same individual he was before he went in there as well too. So maybe with the exception of Nelson and even Winnie Mandela, I can't really think of anybody politically that would inspire, not just black people, but black people globally throughout the world. So that to me, that's a big thing like that. Like I said, I think that we're in a time and place now that you're starting to have all of these different corporations and companies and stuff get together, and you're starting to have these multinational corporations. So I think that like I say, to me, that would be the only way. Like I could see a partnership forming, and then from there branching off. Okay, once you've made X amount of dollars, they've made X amount of dollars, there's been actual trust and partnership built up. then I could possibly see an actual political a political partnership being formed. But at this point in time, I just don't see. I don't see the Black Caucus, who's supposed to represent us. They're not going to go over there and form any partnership with them or whatever, and they're not going to come over here and form it. So I'm just kind of. I wish the article would have been more in detail, telling us exactly ways that an actual political partnership actually could be formed. But like I said, at this point in time, I think politically. I think like Dr. Claude Anderson said, and I think even how Booker T. Washington said too, I think Black people, and that's not to say that we should just give up on politics, but I think that our economics needs to be our bread and butter. I think that's what we need to think first and foremost. We thinking politically first and foremost, but I think we need to go ahead and even put the economic over the actual political wants and everything else as well too. Let me go ahead and get the admin, and then I got you as well, Israel.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me up to speak. I thought if there was going to be an alliance, it would be with a power structure that would develop in South Africa. However, it's not happening there. I put a post in the Purple Pill. There's 3 countries that this person who's doing the post, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's SAHEL, Sahel Alliance, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. They are forming. It's a power structure. They're kicking out the colonizers. They're reclaiming their resources. They're doing their own mining. They're kicking it. They're removing the third party. So they're taking advantage of their own resources, and that alliance is becoming very powerful. Of course, all it takes is for 1 or 2 of them to be assassinated. But these are young guys who are exerting their dominance, their alpha male power, and taking back their countries, and the people are behind them. Gaddafi was attempted to do the same, but he was doing it alone, and the powers that be over here took him out. You've got 3 countries that are adjacent, and that allows them to create that power structure. I just see that alliance and that power structure developing there, and how we can tap into it. I just believe it's going to happen. I don't know the who or the when, but there's a connection that's going to be developing, and it won't be based upon I like you, or I don't like you. It's going to be based on economics, and it won't be the Black Caucus. It won't be the NAACP. There's someone or something. By thing, I mean an alliance over here that's going to form behind the scenes, and a connection is going to be made, and it has nothing to do with the folks that are coming over here, taking advantage of our benefits and all that. That's, to me, that's petty. I just see something bigger happening in those 3 countries, that's going to not be stoppable. I'll leave it at that for now. I'll tip my hat right there. And that post is in the Purple Pill.
All right. Now you said something, and I'm gonna get to you, Ben Israel. And I'm gonna get to No Taxation next, because she's actually a new speaker. But I want to say this real quick. You said something that I said before too, that if a partnership does occur, it's gonna have to be on the economic standpoint first and foremost. that's how most political partnerships happen anyways. And when you're talking about nations or different people, getting together, it's first off, we trade and this and that or whatever. And once the trade goes well, okay, well, we can do this, we can do that. Well, you talk about military partnerships or whatever you're talking about. So I think if that was to ever happen, it would have to actually happen economically. And I think Black Americans, like if always, would have to actually go ahead and spearhead this as well too, because you have presidents, you have nations, you have all of these people over there in Africa that have land and everything else like that, and it's not really happened. It hasn't happened yet. Now you have had Just Cake say, the right to abode and that kind of stuff as well too. But if you actually, and then you had Kenya talking about that, basically something similar as well to where they're trying to get Black Americans to come over there and spend X amount of dollars to go ahead and boost their economy up or whatever. Somebody make sure you somebody mute your mic. Somebody's mic is not muted. Man, that might be you. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think that's the only way that you can go ahead and do it. It'd be economic, through the economics. I mean, because you're just not, like I said, you're just not gonna get here. And politically, they have no impact on our government. They have no bearing on it. They haven't said anything. If they have said anything, the United States government hadn't paid them one iota, and we're not gonna go over there. And matter of fact, if you start getting Black people from this country to go over there and really spearhead stuff and this and that or whatever, well, we've seen the long history of them knocking off African leaders. They won't think twice about knocking off a Black American leader, because they feel like, well, hey, this person is a real threat right here, because we see how they do in their country and stuff like that. So I think you have to look at all of these different variables. No taxation. What's your opinion about this topic right here? Can Black Americans and Africans have political ties?
Hey, to everybody in the room, hello, shout out. I hope your Tuesday went well. Black folks can't have nothing right now. Don't look like, does it? That's just me talking. Here's the thing. It's been tried before, it never worked. It's been tried, it never worked. And I'll tell you why it's not going to work this time, very briefly. Because the title says, can we have? Okay. So I'm going to tell you why we cannot have. Okay. And I'm not, I'm talking just plain old facts. This ain't got nothing to do with whether I like them or don't like them. I'm not putting none of my opinion in it, okay? Africa has already been divided. That Silk Road is back. They're planting trees in the middle of Africa to get rid of the desert. The United States has the bottom half. Of course, China got the middle half, and the Arabs got the top half. The United States, thank you, Barack Obama, Africans should be thanking him, has over 115 drone bases, United States military drone bases in Africa, in their region, and what they have, okay? And you see the unrest that it's caused in Africa once they've divided it up. You see what it looks like over there. So everybody got work to do. They got work to do. We got work to do. So no, we can't have political ties. And we got to do politics. You all do, because I've always done it all my life, because I was taught that. Y'all not doing politics right, no way. Y'all got to learn how to do politics. This is a capitalist country. We print money every single day in this country. The Department of Printing is still open, doing business every day. If you're not doing black economics, black economic politics, you're not doing politics in this country. That's what everybody else is doing. You got the odd Medicare for all and health stuff and all that kind of stuff. It's the same sort of thing. It all leads back to economics. This is a capitalist country, and it is never going to change. It is the war machine of the world. It is never going to change. And white supremacy plans well in advance. You think this wasn't done? They didn't think about this 50 years ago? See, you all got to learn how to do politics first before you, in your own country, before you start talking about doing politics in another country. That don't even make walking around sense. That's not even that don't make sense. How you gonna do politics with Africa when Africa can't do politics with itself? And neither can we. We're being conquered. Melanated people are being conquered all over the world. That's why you got these Venezuelans up in here. America went over there like it does to everybody else that they can get away with and upset that country. And so then they had to get rid of the people who would give cause and fighting against the Americans. That's who's over here. The people that fought against the Americans. That's why they chopping white folks up. And some black ones too if you live in New York. And that's why the cartels are here. See, the shift was not for us. It was never for us. The shift was for the American economy. See, you all got to go back a little bit. Trump had decimated the government. Decimated it. Okay? There was nobody on the Hill, and I'm saying this as a fact. There was nobody on the Hill that could sit in that seat and piece that thing back together but Joe Biden, because he'd been up there 50 years. See, that's the real tea. I ain't saying that as a Joe Biden one way or the other, whether I like him or whether I don't like him. That's just true tea. Look at what you're dealing with. Look at what you're dealing with. And I'll be very honest with you. If y'all don't want them 100, 200 drone bases down to the Africa, and you want to do business with Africa, find somebody else to vote for and put up for office. Because unless we get our money up, we can't do nothing in this country but die. And that's just true tea. You see, they putting them out and letting the other people come up in there. And these are already poor people. This country is trying to tell you, if you don't have any money, I sure hate it for you. Now, I put it in street vernacular so everybody could understand this, black like me, black. You got to get your money up. No, you cannot have any political ties, not only with Africans, with anybody. It's time for you all to fight for yourselves like you've been doing and get your money up. And I'm going to leave it there.
All right. Thank you. No taxation. Let me go ahead and get to Israel. Israel, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, I'm gonna start off by saying the thing about the Africans selling us out, I kind of on the fence about that because we've been told that 10% of the people that was brought from Africa to the United States was made to avoid it. So that's like if you bring 100 people, only 10 of them are going to survive. So that would have been mathematically dumb to repeat that process more than twice. Julius Malema is the leader of the EFF. That's the Economic Freedom Fighters. He's sincere about what he's talking about. He wanted to do business with us, but he got cheated out of the election. He ran for president this year. He got cheated out of the election. ECOWAS is the Economic Coalition of West African States, which Ghana is a part of. They are going after Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. They economic coalition, but they're trying to transition in the military. Ghana's part of that. One of the they're part of ECOWAS, and most of the people ahead of the Congressional Black Caucus, they are black immigrants. That's one reason why nothing has been done in our favor. But damn, I'll land my plane and be one.
All right. Thank you, Israel. Let me go ahead and get to Brother Moku. Brother Moku, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's up, family? Thanks for letting me speak.
What's up?
I'm under the same of no taxation. We definitely cannot have political ties. We have to first understand racism and the political fashion that it controls, and we have to be honest with that. You know, victims of racism, white supremacy have a problem with lying. So what I will say is to second what No Taxation said, until we understand what racism is and how it works in every area of people activity, we have to have political ties with ourselves, and just like No Taxation said, get our money up together and do the job together. You know what I'm saying? Repair is going to take a lot of work, and we got a big job ahead of us. I don't really think we individually and collectively really understand the whole measure of what justice looks like. We're beginning to talk about it more and more now. I implore all of us to continue the conversations, because what this does is it weans out all of the serious ones versus the ones that are really not about doing the work of justice, you know, and that's guaranteeing that no one is harmed, and guaranteeing that whoever needs constructive help gets the most constructive help. Us first, because we are the ones being harmed the most. So to No Taxation's point, we really need to, as a collective, my suggestion, according to the evidence, we need to stop getting bombarded and distracted by all of the types of harm, and just really double down and triple down on eliminate harm on a whole. You know, I feel like white supremacy is the root of all of our problems. All of our problems. Some people might, some of the victims might not agree. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. I'm not beefing with you. I'm not part of no gang. You know what I'm saying? The only gang I'm part of is the victims of racism, white supremacy, because I'm all about countering it and dismantling it and getting to a system of justice. So for the ones that, and I say this, look, I say this like with all of the love that whatever that looks like and whatever that means. If you don't think, or you don't believe, I'm really not interested in anyone's belief, but if you don't know that a system that guarantees those two guarantees that can exist, or you don't feel it's possible, it's fine. Step aside and let the justice probes go. You know what I'm saying? Because I trust that this system can happen, and I trust we can put it in place and maintain it and teach our youth how to maintain it so that it will never happen again. I mean, isn't that the absolute most constructive solution? Dismantling racism, white supremacy, so that it can never happen again, so that no harm can ever come to us again, our children again. I mean, I think that's worth something. I think that's worth fighting for, and I think that's worth my brain power to try to come up with a system like that, and others who are in the like mind. I think our children are worth it. And I'll land with this. Our actions and our inactions will directly affect a generation we won't even meet. Okay? Our actions and or inactions will affect a generation that we will not even meet. I'll land there.
All right. Thank you, Brother Moku. Let me go ahead and get to John Horn. John Horn, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, hey, what's up, everybody? Man, bro, hey, I totally agree with no taxation, and brother Oko was saying. Really, they hate us because we black. They able to harm us because we poor. So the biggest thing, like Dr. Claude Anderson says, is that we have to really get there, before we can really start participating in politics like super, super heavy, is we're going to have to get our economic base under us, bro. We're going to have to start building our own businesses, within these, within the towns that we are, or cities that we're in. You can go online, lately I've been doing it. I don't know, it's just, I've been just getting these weird feelings, like something was just telling me, how do we, what does an economy really look like? I think when people think about economies, you're thinking about like these big multi-billion-dollar companies, and that's actually not really it. The economies that we're going to have, most of your businesses that you see, if y'all just go outside and just look around, even with these other groups, it's the small businesses that keeps everything going in this country. So for us, that's really what it is that we got to get going, man. If you can start barbershops, nail salons, small grocery stores, small restaurants, anything like that, and just piggyback off of each other. The restaurants need the graphic designers to produce their websites, their logos, their branding, things like that. That's a business, if you know how to take pictures, anything like that, we have to start those businesses and basically create an ecosystem of finance that's backed behind our culture as foundation of Black American freedom. And once we do that, then we can take it all across the country where other Black people are. Once that happens, once we get that situated, once we're able to do that here, and the Africans and the Caribbeans, once they get themselves together over there, because they gotta put numbers on the board. We can't do everything, so they're gonna have to get their situation straight where they are. Once we get ourselves together here and they start putting up points on the board over there, Burkina Faso and Mali, they're all already getting themselves together. They're trying to. Then we can, go about, trying to link up and do things that way. But like no taxation, and brother was saying, it's all about economics. Once we're able to get that situated, then we can get into, get further and deeper into politics. Then we can get into the whole justice field too. Then we can, start, building our own police agencies and things of that nature, and then everything else will just fall into place. Not letting there for now.
All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Let me give a shout out real quick to Brandon, Ms. Trigger, and EHZ for their contributions on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get to Trance. Trance is beautiful. Trance, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Is it?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you for letting me talk in the space, and hey to everybody. And I think it was Yemi Yar, then Israel, and I honestly heard you say something about you think Julius Malema was actually cheated of the election, and just me as a South African, I really don't think so. And I'm actually shocked that he actually, because he actually got moved down from, used to be, because the EFF had argued that they would be the number one opposition party, but they got moved down from number 3 to number 4. So I'm like, and also, if you actually followed South African politics and listened to South African spaces, you'd actually know how fed up many of us Black and coloured South Africans are with Julius Malema, and he just does things and just disrespects us as Blacks and coloured. So
I just want to say that, and I think you should maybe go to South African spaces to maybe listen to more people, and also just jumping to conclusions. Maybe, I don't know, but that's all. But otherwise, But I hope I don't come off mean or anything, because that's not my motive. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. But that's all. Yeah.
All right. Well,
you just come off as a transformer.
I knew Professor was going to say something like.
Professor, really? Like, are you serious?
Like,
we're having a serious discussion. Why do you always do that? Like.
All right.
Professor, since you started with me, I'm gonna cut for you right back. Professor, the way you talk to me sometimes.
Well, no, we going because then y'all will be going back and forth. So let me go and get to. Thank you, Trent. Yeah, because y'all be going back and forth. Let me go ahead and get to original. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, so a couple things I forgot to mention was that when Dr. Paul Anderson came out with his first book, Black Labor White Wealth, quite a number of the Pan-Africans, they were angry with him because they said, well, he didn't include Africa. But then you got to look at the fact, when has Africa ever included Black Americans? Like I said earlier, they told Malcolm X, we got our own problem. They did not want to ally with him. And then when I look at how when Donald Trump called Africa, I would say the Black African nations and the Caribbeans, he called them Esmo countries. I think it was a Nigerian president. They still came over here and met with Donald Trump. Which was, see, Black Americans are not like that. And if we had came and met with someone like that, we would have had a discussion as to why they have that sentiment towards people that look like us. See, when the divestment in South Africa, you had it was a lot of Black Americans that were really pushing that divestment, but yet we don't really get the accolades and everything for what we have done to support them. And see, and let's not forget Akon. I think he was born here. He grew up around us, but he still had that tribal mentality when it came to us. He came into our culture. He made a great deal of money. And what did he do? He turned on us. He started calling us all kinds of Georgia things. And then he turned around and said that if the African American can come to Africa and deal with us, it's like, how are we going to, you've already disrespected us. How are we going to deal with you? They don't, I think a lot of their logic is just twisted. Once you show us who you are, we don't want anything to do with you. That's just being real. So I think people need to understand that it's not, this resentment wasn't coming from us. It came from them. And so now, they're looking kind of sideways because we decided that, look, we have to get ourselves together first. And if we can, work with them, okay, fine, maybe possible. But I think we need to do it. We need to go in with both eyes open, or as some people say, all three eyes open, so that because we have a history of them, sabotaging us. That's why when they're running for political office in this country, they come here, they don't look to ally with us. They act like, even some of them are against us getting reparations because they're not included. So it's like, if they're not going to get it, if they're not going to have, access to those resources, they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that we don't get the resources. See, we don't have that tribal mentality like that. That is something that has been that is deeply embedded in their DNA. We've always reached out to try to help people. Now they'll do stuff for other demographics, and and say that they're doing something great, but when it comes to us, that's the issue. And Akon is a perfect example. How can you grow up around us and claim to be a part of us, but then you turn on us the way that you did, and then expect us to come and want to deal with you in Africa? That's not going to happen. Because like I said, when all that started happening, black people were like, well, why is he doing this?
Hey, real quick, original. I had to just kick that person out that came up here because they didn't put all kind of porn stuff up in the damn jumbotron. But go ahead, hey, Professor, help me get rid of some of this stuff up here.
Yeah, man, I'm looking at that. I'm gonna help you get up out of there.
Yeah, that's I'm looking at. This is probably one of them. That's mad that we are having this conversation, and but see, that's how quite a number of them are. Oh God, that's nasty as hell. Excuse me my language. I hit the wrong. Oh gosh. But yeah, I'm trying to delete some of it too. So, but that's how these people are. And this is not coming from a position of hate. This is reality. This is what that they have done to us. Now, see, here's the issue. They claim they want us to come back home, but my question is, if we are part of you, why you never came to get us? That's the issue. Why didn't you ever try to come and get us? So I'm going to land with that, but I just want people to understand is that we can't. We're not going into this thing with our eyes closed, thinking that we have allies when we don't. Because even I remember seeing a video of Dr. James Small. He talked about how when the Caribbean and the Africans come over here, they separate themselves from us. They have their own churches and their own this, that, and whatever. And so that's that tribal mentality that we do not have. Because we are all that we have. We are all that we have. And I'm going to land with that. Whoever did that needs to rock. I hope you blocked them.
Yeah, I blocked them and removed. Because I didn't even know who the person was. They came up here, and then I know a lot of times it'd be trolls and stuff like that. And before I know, I just seen all of this stuff up in the jumbotron, and by the time I realized, I went ahead and blocked that person. But yeah, people come up in here. I should have knew the person only had one follower, and so I should have knew that it was somebody coming in here to troll. But yeah, we got him up out of here. We got Professor. Because you hadn't said anything. Did you want to say anything real quick, or you good?
I'm gonna chime in for just a second. Hold on 1 second.
Give Professor a second to get himself situated. I can always.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think y'all we got to learn, and Sister No Tax already broke the game down for us. Is we got to be able to understand the politics over here before we can really join in with anybody else. But for one thing, they have never really been on our side anyway. We just got to really worry about getting our unity within our own group together. And I spoke about this last night. Is the collective Black American family unit is what we got to focus on. And that is building up our politics within our group, our economics within this group. We need to get our people that understand medical apartheid. We need to get people that understand law. We need to get our people that understand politics. We need people that understand criminal justice system. All of this we can bring together as a collective unit so we can fight against the system that is continuing to fight against us to keep us down. So that's what we need to understand before we join in with anybody else. And that group, no offense to the Africans, they need to worry about going back over there and fixing that crap that's over there. Okay? Because there's a lot of issues over there, but yet we'll have a bunch of them over here telling us what we need to do, how we need to be straightening our communities out, coming in, trying to take over things that belong to our ancestors. This is what these folks like to do. And I can't remember who said it earlier, but I know somebody mentioned the Congressional Black Caucus is basically a bunch of them. It's not us. There's no representation of us, really. So this is why we got to understand that what we're doing right now is about Black American business. We got to have that collective unit within our own group, and then, whenever we can get ourselves together, sure, we can join in with the other non-FBAs, and but they also need to get themselves together and figure out what they need to do in their countries. A lot of issues in those countries. So I'm gonna land right there.
All right, appreciate it, Professor. Real quick comment on YouTube from EHZX. He says, why this topic at Newstoter? We need to get far away from Africans politically. It was an article off of the website. You guys know a lot of the spaces, the vast majority of the spaces actually come from articles off the actual site as well too. So I figured that this was something worth talking about. And the actual article it said that forming stronger political ties amongst Africans and Black Americans. And like I said before, I really don't see any political ties, really, if we're really being honest. Because you get to that point one day, yeah. But like I said before, too, all political ties are based off of economics. You only partner up with somebody politically when you're talking about nations or groups of people and stuff like that. When you're talking about how can it be beneficial for you economically, and it had to be beneficial for you economically before you actually politically really got involved with somebody as well too. So I don't, and I said it before you go ahead and do anything, you'd have to go ahead and have a strong economic base, and it would have to be something that would be beneficial for Black people in this country as well as the people over there. If you're talking about actually forming some kind of political partnership, which I still, like I say, I would still have to see exactly how would you form a political partnership when you're over here and they're over there, and just so many different logistics to work out as well too. So I'm not entirely sure about how that would go, but like everybody else said, once we get ourselves straightened out and they get themselves straightened out, then yeah, I could see something economically, trying to do something economically, trading or whatever, mining, whatever you want to say, however, but something financially that's going to be a financial incentive for both parties. But until then, the political aspect, I think that's going to be something that just has to get put on the back burner, because we have so much stuff going on over here. They have even more stuff going on over there with the political unrest and some of these nations that you see all the time popping up. You just never really know what's going to go on over there on the African soil as well too. And like I say, over here in America, we're being squeezed out of things as well too. So we need to try to, focus on that. And I believe John Horst was saying, and I said it too, like Dr. Oh Lord, the elder said, I'm sorry, say that again.
Dr. Claude Anderson.
Yeah, Dr. Claude Anderson said, like, economically, we got to build ourselves up first and foremost. And everybody thought Booker T. Washington was a Tom when he was saying this stuff, and maybe he could have put it a better way. But yeah, economically, Black people need to worry about their economics first and foremost. And even I know people don't like to hear that. They go, well, politics. Yeah, politics will be there. You look at the Asians, and I keep saying this over and over again. Don't sit up here and tell me that Asians have been more involved in American politics than Black people. No, not even remotely. And that includes Latinos. Matter of fact, there's no group in this country besides white people who've been involved politically more than Black people. So if politics was just going to be the engine to get us there and drive us there, we would have been there 50 years ago. But that's not the case. We need to worry about economically. Now, I say once we get ourselves straight economically, I'm like this right here. We live in a capitalistic country. We live in a capitalistic world. We got people coming from all over the world coming over here and starting jobs and businesses and industries and stuff like that. I have no problem with black people. We got together, like I said, we form our own multicultural, our own a multi-corporation or whatever, going to these different places the same way they come to America, and they come to South America, the Caribbean, Asia, and this and that, and we do the same way they do, and we set up shop. And that includes Africa as well, to the Caribbean. You know, we have the actual financial backing and base that we can do that the same way people do it all over the world, and they do it here. So, but first and foremost, like Dr. Claude Anderson said, we got to get ourselves straight. Like Booker T. Washington said that as well too. Like, yeah, man, we got to go ahead and forget even creating jobs. You know, I had jobs when I was 15 years old. I mean, anybody can get a job in this country. Having a job don't mean that you're going to be financially set. Okay, we need to start actually controlling industries. And within those industries, yeah, we can create jobs and stuff like that. But we need to actually start having industries that we own in this country. A job is fine. You can get a 15, 16-year-old kid to find a summer job. You can get somebody with hardly any training education and get a mid-level, entry-level type job. But we need actually industries and stuff that we control. And yeah, those industries can create jobs and everything else like that. But that's what we need to worry about as well too. So economically, until we get to that point where we need to get at, you know, politically, I don't really see that happening. And then, like I say, that would be something that you'd have to sit down. I think over here, it would have to be drawn up on this side of the actual board as well, to like how we're going to go about doing this. Let me go ahead and get to, matter of fact, we got a new speaker. Let me get to my boy Ray, and then I got you Atman, and I got you John Horse.
What's going on, y'all? I'm going to be real quick. It's just something I wanted to slightly give you a little pushback on, brother. I'm sorry, I cannot agree with you about Booker T. Washington, because if you've ever read that, and I think it's called the Atlanta Compromise of like 1896, 1895, around that time, where he talks about how black people should accept segregation and disenfranchisement, and basically not make white people feel uncomfortable. And eventually, if we were beat down enough, they would allow us that. Eventually, they will respect us because we, you know, I guess they would have some mercy on us or something like that. But yeah, I just want to give a little bit of pushback on that, man. History, man, that's one dude that I just really can't rock with, Booker T. Washington.
Well, I'm not saying Booker T. Washington, everything he said was 100% or the way he put it. But make no bones about it, in 1895, 1896, the United States of America was not going to let black Americans integrate with them. They were not going to let black Americans move in their neighborhood. They were not going to let black Americans go to school with them. They were not going to let black Americans do anything. So from a perspective of Booker T. Washington was saying was, hey, we need to go ahead. And even I know, and even, you know, people felt like he pushed back against even getting higher education, that he was more with trades and things of that nature as well too. But what he was trying to go ahead and basically was saying that, hey, you got to be able to do for self. And like I said, he didn't put it a way that, you know, I would have liked him to put it, but I knew what he was saying. I knew what he was understanding. Like, hey, you know, we got to go ahead and create our own economy. He was basically saying we got to be a nation within a nation as well too. So yeah, I don't agree with, you know, what he was saying and this and that or whatever, the way that some of the things that he was putting in, you know, I'm not going to sit up here and say I agree 100% with what he was saying, but I do get the gist of what he was saying. Being able to support your own. Now you got to remember too, now we're coming out of an era that most of the people during that time frame were either born slaves or were actually the grandkids of slaves as well too. So you're talking about an era where you got people that's a generation or two at most removed from slavery. So his main thing was like, hey, we need to be able to go ahead and we need to be able to build houses, and we need to be able to feed ourselves and clothe ourselves. We need to be able to go ahead and get into production and industries and things of that nature as well too. And he knew how to manipulate white folks and get money as well too, because he knew how to tell them the stuff that they wanted to hear, so he can go ahead and he could finance Tuskegee as well too. That was one of his main ways as well too. Now, like I said, did he go overboard with some of the stuff he was saying? Did he poured on too much and all of this stuff? Did he tell them a little bit too much what they wanted to hear? Yeah, I would agree there, but I understand what he was saying. Before you had Elijah Muhammad coming out, you had black people that had like, hey, we got to have a do for self type attitude, because let's be for real, the country wasn't going to do anything for us. Now we're sitting up here, how many years later, over 100 some odd years later, and some of the same things. How many industries and stuff do we actually control in this country? You know, before we go ahead and, like I say, and we put more into politics and everything else, there's nothing wrong with politics, and we need politics. I understand that as well too. But what I'm saying is there are groups that are smaller than what Black Americans are in this country, don't have the political cachet, don't have the political history, yet these groups make more money than Black people. These groups are not getting shot down in the street like Black people and everything else like that. I think we need to go ahead and control our economic base before we do any and everything first. We're not going to do that. I already know we're not going to do that, but I think we should do that. I think we need to go ahead and start controlling our actual economic base more so than what we're doing right now. And I just think at this point in time, we're not doing a good enough job about it. And we can't go out there and with Dr. Claude Anderson also talked about being able to buy your politicians and bankroll them and everything else like that. Well, how many of these people can we actually buy and bankroll and put them up there? So when they do get compromised, when they do get bought, when they do sell out, we don't have the dollars to match up with them. So, I mean, that's another issue that we're facing right now as well, too. Let me go ahead and get to John. I'm sorry. Let me get to was it the Atman and then John Horse? Atman, and I get back to you, John.
Thank you. We're talking alliances. We're talking economic base. One thing I didn't mention earlier when I was talking about alliances in Africa is BRICS. We're talking Brazil, India, China, Russia, Iran, who are in competition with the United States and the U.S. dollar. Let those countries start pouring money my way, our way, and see if I don't join their alliance, because they're going to give me an economic base, give Black majority an economic base to do what he's talking about doing, and let that money start flowing in, and I can start buying politicians and doing what you're talking about doing. The hell with anybody who wants to say, oh, you shouldn't do that because, well, F you, I don't give a, hey, let that money start flowing my way, and it's going to be economic base all day long. So don't be surprised if that doesn't start happening, because Putin is ready to come at the West in general. And I ain't talking about being Putin's puppet and becoming a slave for Putin. I'm talking about a true economic base. Of course, there's always strings attached, but there's strings attached even if you get money from the federal government here. So, anybody who wants to challenge me on that, bring it, because I'm ready. Give me my money. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to John. John, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I like all the points, that we're speaking about in the space and everything. But yeah, that's, basically what we have to do, man. We really, really just got to focus on the economics. And we can do it, man. Look, we're innovative people, extremely innovative. Just go out and look at what these other groups have going on within their, communities with these small businesses. And basically what we do is we emulate what they have, They got dry cleaners, car washes, gas stations, these little things like that. And we basically build on top of that, and we innovate new ways that make our businesses cool. You know what I'm saying? We make it where, we're innovating ways that we do business that are 10 times more effective and proficient than these other people, and these other groups. That's how we're going to remain competitive. We're competitive people. Understand, the white supremacists don't want us to get reparations because they understand how competitive we are. They see it in sports. They see it in music. They understand that once we get our economic footing under us, they're not going to be able to compete with us like that. So, I want our people just to understand when it comes to economics, understanding that that's how we get our justice claim too. That's how we get our police situation straight. Understand one of the reasons why, the United States is so powerful is not necessarily because of its military, it's because of its economy. The white supremacist economy funds and fuels the military. So, we have to have a counter to what they have going on, their system. They have a system of injustice. As Black people, as Black men, we're going to have to create a system of justice. So we need to look at everything that they have going on right now and have a counter to it. They have their police. What are our police look like? They have their government. What does our government look like? They have their media. What does our media look like? You know, they have their businesses. What do our businesses look like? They understand, man. Historically, when we had our, you know, we were all the way back, you know, back when we were in Europe. They saw how we ran. They saw how we ran things. A lot of the white folks didn't really rock with the ruling class that was in Europe that was running everything. So they understand when we get ourselves together. A lot of these other folks will really come to our side. I'm trying to tell y'all right now, we're going to be running things so good that a lot of these other people, when we have our businesses started, they're going to want to try to come work for us. Just watch. Just watch. I'd land there for now.
All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate you coming up here as well. Is there anybody else that wants to speak tonight? Anybody else that wants to speak? All right. I see the room is kind of quiet. Everybody like that. Okay. Well, nobody wants to speak. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get ready to close it out for the night. Okay. Let me get no taxation in. Go ahead. No taxation. You got it.
I just wanted to say this because Dana messaged me on the back end. She's having a space, something about Chicago, DNC 2024 Chicago, her and Judge Joe Brown. So I told her that I would say something to you so you can announce it in your state.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't normally not, but Dana's my girl, so I will go ahead and go ahead and let you get that one in. But normally I don't really too much.
If it wasn't Dana, you know, because people send me stuff all the time.
Yeah, if it wasn't Dana, because
okay.
Yeah, we don't give a shout outs in this space to other spaces because they don't give shout outs to us either. So, you know, but Dana is my girl and she will give a shout out. So definitely check Dana and Judge Joe Brown out as well too, guys, because I'm gonna be closing this one out. So check that space out. We'll probably be back again this week. Again, I'm not sure if it's gonna be tomorrow because I gotta get a crown on my tooth tomorrow. So I'm gonna see what's up. I'm gonna see how my tooth feeling, and we'll see what's up. If it's not tomorrow, then Thursday we'll probably be back as well, too, guys. So definitely check Judge Joe Dana space out. We will see you guys. Peace. Have a good one.